Well, hello everybody. We're back. We're here with an adventure that I'm very excited about. That we're going to be calling Susan Snow's Downhill Jam. But before we get into that, we're going to take a brief moment and, as always, introduce our brave heroes that we have with us today. We got a couple of new ones in here tonight. We have first off, without further ado, brand new character. We have Gob Moss, the Grung monk. Welcome, Gob.
Oh, hi there.
Gob, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brings you to the Land of DnDTime?
Well, I've normally been working as a painter and like doing a bunch of paintings, and I actually finally delivered my last one for the year today to Bartholomew.
Really, really, what was the painting?
Just a typical solstice painting. I do it like every year.
I'm sorry. What was the word? A typical what painting?
Solstice.
Oh, a solstice painting. What is nothing in particular depicted? Just some of the classic solstice trappings. Snowy fields, colorful candles and lights.
Yep, and but this time he asked me to paint something called what do you call it? I think he said to paint a Susan Snow. I don't know, something like that.
A Susan Snow. Yes. That's very interesting that you should bring that up. And I have a question, Gob. Obviously you do some paintings. Do you celebrate the solstice in any other ways? What is Gob Moss's? What are your holiday traditions like?
Well, it's mostly the same traditions as those who practice Kung Fu.
You say Grung Fu?
Fu.
What is Grung Fu? Is this your particular fighting style? I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a fine style developed by my grandmaster, Silvertongue, the Dark of Tranquility.
Well, I look forward to seeing your Grung Fu in action. Welcome tonight, Gob. It's good to have you among Bartholomew's adventuring crew.
Of course, I mean, if I could paint it, I could punish it.
We'll have to wait and see if that proves to be the case. Very good. Next up, we have not a new character, but I don't know if you got necessarily your proper introduction last time. So I'd like to welcome, to a degree for the first time here, Zewxip, the Blossomer Floran. Welcome, Zewxip.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you again for the first time.
Yes, indeed. And Zewxip, am I pronunciating your name right? Enunciating? There it is. Got it in
That
three.
is one way you can pronounce our name, yes.
Yes, very good. And Zewxip, would you care to tell us a little bit about yourself? What brings you to the Land of DnDTime? What your particular skill set is?
Well, specifically, a ship brought me here. You see, we are sailors, and I heard that there was a bit of a festivity to be happening. And, well, we Zewxips, we celebrate the solstice in a very interesting fashion, you see. We hang up lights all around, as the solstice is the shortest day of the year, and unfortunately that means there's not as much light as we would hope. And by hanging lights all around, we can bask in their warmth. And of course, well, I have a certain someone who I can bask with as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a loved one. I guess I never thought about what the solstice might mean for those who rely on the sunlight, so much more dearly. But a lot of the times, I heard you addressed yourself as we. Are you referring to you and your loved one, or?
No, I'm referring to the other Zewxips.
The other Zewxips? How many Zewxips are there?
I wish I could tell you. I'm sure that if you spend enough time sailing the seas around DnDTime, you'll encounter one of us.
Well, I hope that that's the case. I mean, you seem very charming, Zewxip, and I'm glad I got the chance to know you right now, and I also look forward to seeing what you're able to do. And as one last question, what made you want to join up with Bartholomew's adventuring troupe?
Well, you see, it was an opportunity that we just couldn't pass. I believe that Bartholomew is going to be able to offer us a great many opportunities to set down roots, to spread across the lands, and to bring color and joy and the fruits, quite literally, of our labors to all the citizens in DnDTime.
An enviable goal. Well, welcome, Zewxip. Next up, we have a returning veteran here. We have Rivi Shoot and Stab. I think the most accomplished level 3 now, if I'm not mistaken, Rivi. And level 3, of course, being the denomination given by Bartholomew to different ranks and skill levels of adventurers and so on. But Rivi, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good right now.
Rivi, how do you celebrate the solstice? Do you have any particular solstice traditions?
Well, I've just been wandering the fields of Placeland. I've been wandering the earth my whole life, so I'm not really accustomed to any holidays, but it's very nice to be invited to one for once in my life.
Yeah, it's a very big festival that you've been invited to today. Has Rivi ever spent any time in the Big Rock Candy Mountains where our adventure will be taking place?
One time, but I'd rather not talk about it.
Fair enough, Rivi. Fair enough. Well, I'm glad that you're excited about having this opportunity to take part in some of these festivities. Any traditions that you're wanting to try? I
didn't have any friends before now, but I actually found a friend.
Really? Who's your friend?
He moves over this giant dog, like twice the size of him. I found this dog. His name is Scruffles.
Scruffles? What breed of dog is Scruffles? What does Scruffles look like?
I think he's a dog kind of animal.
Fair enough. He's certainly huge. Although, no offense, of course, you are also a kobold, so you are relatively small.
Would Scruffles to introduce himself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bark.
He seems like a very good dog, and I look forward to getting to know him a little bit more.
Dog noise.
Rivi, welcome back. It's good to have you. And last but not least, we have another brand new adventurer here. We have Muldock Mutlam. Welcome, Muldock.
Hey, how's it going?
Muldock, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What brings you to the Land of DnDTime? Or Bartholomew's Adventuring Troupe, more specifically, I suppose.
Well, I heard there was a carnival, so I came for the Carnival of Souls.
This isn't the Carnival of Souls, this is the Winter Solstice. They have soul in them, so that might be what confused you.
Oh, there wasn't this, carnival with a bunch of demon things and cool shadow stuff and clowns and people dressed up in costumes?
This is more sort of, it's kind of like candles and presents and people being very nice to each other and snow and fun games is kind of what this festival's all about. I don't know if that's particular your jam, Muldock.
Oh, well, fun? Okay, well, if there's fun, then there has to be murder, so I guess I'm down with murder.
There's actually no murder at this particular holiday.
I'm glad to bring it then. I'm happy to bring it.
Oh dear. Oh no, Muldock. It seems that you've picked the wrong day, or maybe the very, very right day, in order to join us here in the Land of DnDTime. And I take it that this is why you've joined up with Bartholomew's Adventuring Troupe to take part in some of the, in a lot of cases, it seems like legal murder that goes on with some of his adventurers.
Yeah, I'm kind of fat and I sweat a lot, but that's the only bad, creepy things I got. Well, that and the whole murdering aspect, but we really haven't gotten to that. So,
Muldock, to each their own. Welcome here today. I'm sure that you'll get along very well with everyone. It's good to have you today.
Great.
So without further ado, we find ourselves, as I mentioned originally, in the far frozen north of the Land of DnDTime, the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Specifically, you stand at the base of a fairly large mountain, and up above on that mountain, you see a very large castle composed of ice, the home of a man known as the Duke of Winter. And you're gathered here for this Winter Solstice Festival in the Land of DnDTime. Today is that day. You're gathered here for this festival because Bartholomew brings a lot of his adventurers here every year because he's been in something of a rivalry with a woman by the name of Susan Snow. Susan Snow was a homunculus Bartholomew created, or, well, he can explain that to you, because where we start officially, you're sitting around a table amidst the festival grounds. People all around you are kind of laughing and making merry. There's all sorts of booths set up with minor, not necessarily carnival games, but kind of, smaller games. There's a booth selling kind of hot chocolate and a lot of the general trappings and seasonal drinks and foods that one would expect to find at such an occasion. You can see people dressed up in their wintry best, a lot of people walking around carrying sleds, and over on the distant mountain where that Duke of Winter resides, a lot of people are sledding down it, or skiing down it, or in some other way traversing it. There's a couple of radical snowboarders there as well. But you, Bartholomew's adventurers, along with several other of Bartholomew's adventurers, and Bartholomew himself, are huddled around a table, not taking part in a lot of the festivities, as Bartholomew seems to have some relatively grave intentions about this particular festival. So as people party around you, Bartholomew looks around at you, and you see kind of another adventurer go to stand up from the table as he's sitting there in silence, and Bartholomew looks at him. "Don't you dare leave this table for even an instant. There will be no partaking in the festivities here today until we have defeated Susan Snow."
Who? Who's Susan Snow?
Oh wait, is that the person you asked me to paint?
I would have asked you no such thing. It's probably... I have a question. Did you actually see me, or did you just hear what sounded like my voice? She might have imitated me and hired a portrait on my dime. That's the kind of thing she would do.
I'm not sure what's going on here.
Actually, I mean, it kind of looked like you. I mean, you had a blue robe and everything.
Yes, well, she had a blue robe on, and, well, she wouldn't have been wearing a blue robe. She would have likely been wearing one of quite a few colors. You see, Susan Snow was a homunculus that I made out of snow. Some call her a snow woman. I just call her a homunculus, is my preferred term. Susan and I were fairly good friends. However, well, it started as a friendly bet. We were having something of a snowball fight, and, well, I bet something that she prized very greatly, my rainbow-colored robes. You might have seen some of the old pictures of me wearing them. People called me Bartholomew back in those days. It was a long time ago. Well, I bet my rainbow-colored robes away, and she swindled me into not using magic in our game because she said it would be unfair because I am such a powerful wizard. I didn't read the contract closely enough, and, well, every year she flaunts her robe around the space. But this year I'm determined to win it back.
Is she your seed?
This seems quite petty. I mean, bark.
What were you saying there, Zewxip?
Is she your seedling? Is she your offspring? Is this how you consider her?
Offspring, I created her, I breathed life into her. I do believe that she should, as a result, pay me a deal of respect, but I would consider her more bitter rival than offspring.
I understand. We have had that problem before.
Yes. Well, overall, for the course of the day, she always runs these events, and every year she gives me a chance to win back my robe, but I usually lose the big battle. There's a snowball fight, and I pretty much always lose it, because I'm not allowed to use magic in it, and, well, it's unfair, really, now that I think about it. I should be allowed to cast Wish to wish that snowballs fly into her and hit her. It's just the scope of my abilities, but a complaint for another day. So, she offers me a chance, but I believe in total defeat. I want to massacre her on all grounds, which is why I'm going to pay any groups of you who are able to, well, defeat her. She's running a sledding competition soon. I want you to crush her even there.
So you want her dead? Okay, I'll go take care of that right now.
No, I do not want her dead. Make no mistake about that. I do not want her dead, and I don't think you can kill her. She's actually very powerful.
Muldock, I don't think murder is the right answer for a happy wintertime event.
But, I mean, if you want to try and kill her... Okay, Muldock, bring it in close. Bartholomew leans in.
All right.
Muldock, if you see a chance, I'm going to turn the other cheek. I don't think you can do it, but if you see an opportunity, I'm also not going to say, don't do it. And he puts his hands up in air quotes as he's saying, "Don't do it."
Oh, okay. All right. I'll go do it then. Bye.
No, I didn't. Well, okay, fine. Yeah, your opportunity seems to arrive almost immediately as you see kind of bounding into the space, or kind of shuffling along. You see, well, what looks like an animated snowman. This woman kind of walks in. She's a snowman that's kind of composed of the 3 circles of snow, and she kind of like rolls along the ground a little bit, but she has arms that are kind of composed of twigs that lean out, and she's wearing a beautiful rainbow wizard's robe. She kind of pops over and says, "Oh, hello, my dears. And Bartholomew's here with his usual band of ruffians, or whatever you call them. I hope you're all going to be participating in today's sledding competition. It's going to be starting fairly soon."
Excuse me, I am no ruffian.
Oh, aren't you just precious? She comes over and kind of pats you on the cheek, a little bit condescendingly.
I would like pets.
I reach out and touch your face.
You said you'd touch her face. 7 points of lightning damage, 24 hits. And as you kind of zap into her, she kind of looks over at you, and she goes, "I think you're shocking me with lightning right now, but I'm made of snow. I don't feel any pain. This is the kind of things that you stoop to, Bartholomew. This is what you're going to do to try and win. Incapacitate me before the event? I was expecting more from you." And she looks over at the big dog and just goes, "Hey, yes, of course, dear, I can pet you," and goes over and gives the dog something of a hug.
Yes, I enjoy this. I mean, bark.
Bartholomew just kind of goes, "You will see your comeuppance in time, Susan."
No, wait, those arms look very familiar to the ones that asked me to do that painting.
Oh, is it done? Bartholomew, what did you think of the painting? It's very lovely, isn't it? I thought it captured all of, well, my good sides. You should like the way I look. You made me. Bartholomew, I have to go get ready. I suggest you all collect your sleds if you're going to play. But frankly, I've never been beaten in... How long has it been, Bartholomew? And he looks... 57 years. It has been. 57 years it's been that I've been winning all of these, so good luck! She turns around and begins walking over towards what looks like a kind of an arcane ski lift that's been set up. There's no poles or rails. The lifts just kind of move up and down the mountain, probably temporarily enchanted for the event today. And Bartholomew looks again at all of you. Please absolutely obliterate her in this competition, all of you.
All right.
We'll do our best.
I'll try.
You'll need to get some sleds, and keep in mind, anyone who wins, I'm going to give everyone a full day of pay. If any of you beat here, all of you get paid. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Money. Good.
Yay, socialism!
I understand the
I
concept
don't really care about money. I just want.
Yes.
Just,
Well, you'll get it anyway, and then maybe I'll find someone for you to... a side point again. You keep getting me distracted on these murdered tangents. Let us go and find sleds, and some of the other Bartholomew's adventurers that were sitting around the table just kind of watching. You see them running off and just trying to find things to make into sled, the promise of a payday, motivating them in this particular instance.
Okay.
Okay, guys, we need to build a sled. Wait, we get sleds or build a sled? Sled.
So my question for you guys is, what do you make your sled out of?
I'm not making my sled out of anything. I'm just gonna walk up and just cause people to run away and just take their sled.
All right, yeah. You see, there's one. What's your particular target? Do you go for the kid? Because there's one kid. There's one kid that definitely brought his own sled and was very excited about it. So you go over to this small child. He's holding a big sled up, and he seems cheeks are a little bit rosy. He's puffed up in a big wintry leather jacket. You just look at him and use your cause fear, and he instantly runs. He can't even make it say. Actually, I'll give him a chance to crit on this small scared child. Yeah, you cause fear on this child. You see him, his arms kind of outstretched in the puffy jacket, just starts like waddling away from you slowly and drops his sled on the ground.
Thanks, kid. And I just take his sled and walk.
All right.
Scruffles just glares at Muldock.
As you kind of are giving the mean eye to Muldock, again, you're in the Rock Candy Mountains. There's kind of a good coating of ice cream on everything. Around you, you also are seeing things like, candy cane trees. You're seeing, kind of bushes where peppermints are breaking off in kind of like pieces. The bark on some of the trees is made of chocolate, and people are just basically going around and just snapping things off the landscape and trying to find something that looks firm enough to be a sled in most of the other adventurers' cases. What do the rest of you do to get sleds?
Okay, so, sorry. Dob Moss will probably be looking for something that's similar to peanut brittle, as well as trying to find something that act as a good solid base that he can actually apply some sort of like a thin coat of like some of his painting oil on.
Painting oil. Okay, yeah. There's So peanut brittle is something that's relatively easy to find. Peanut brittle in the Candy Kingdom, that generally grows as kind of like ferns or like shrubs that are in like the underbrush. So you get a few kind of like chunks of them, break them off, you bind them together with some frosting that you find, coating some of the gingerbread anthills, and you form together yourself a nice little peanut brittle sled, and then you're going to paint the bottom of it with your oil.
Yeah, just to give it a nice, good slick to it.
All right, cool. Who else? Who else has got a...
So Rivi tries to get parts together, but he's not doing very successful. So his big old dog just starts dragging over pieces of stuff for him to build the sled out of.
All right, cool. Any particular aesthetic that you're going for with this one, or just like want to roll just to see whatever your dog happens to come up with?
Yeah, I want to see what the dog gets. Let's see what the dog gets. I'm sure I roll or you roll?
Roll d20 for me.
All right. That did not work at all.
Slash roll space.
Okay, slash roll space. I'm just looking different. Sorry, my bad.
No problem.
God, why?
There it is. Oh, all right. You, a couple moments later, your dog comes back with something that you could, more than it seems like it's a sled, it's more like skis, as what he has is just 2 candy canes, and then another just kind of bigger piece of chocolate that he sits down on with the hopes of you like tying it to your back so you can drag him down too.
Scruffles, I don't think it's a good idea. It's an excellent idea. I mean, bark.
Very good, very good. Zewxip?
Zewxip, being an accomplished sailor, is I'd like to rely on my tool proficiencies with water vehicles in order to fashion a very like aerodynamic, or I guess it'd be like a hydrodynamic. I don't know. Snow is maybe little column A, little column B here. So what I'm thinking is I'd like to pluck 2 candy canes to use as sleigh runners, and take some rope and lash a graham cracker as the bottom of the sled between them.
Excellent.
And then I want to mount a bit of a like a rudder, using perhaps a 3rd candy cane that I can dig into the snow to steer. And I'm going to be making a nautical sled out of.
I'm picturing almost like a little bit of a candy cane mast that comes up too, with sort of a fruit roll-up flag. So it's almost like windsurfing.
I was going to ask if there's something like that, or perhaps some cotton candy that I could use as sort of a makeshift, like a wind catch that I could use to navigate.
Absolutely. This is so much in your wheelhouse now that I think about it. So you make this almost windsurfing style candy boat. I want you to roll, since this is a a little bit more of a complicated one than just grabbing something. I want you to make me a check with your, and I'll let you use your water vehicle for proficiency to see how well constructed this is on the whole and how much it's going to hold up as it's kind of going through some trauma. This is all you have time for either way, but go ahead and roll me a check with your water vehicle's proficiency tools, which is a rare one to see.
Sure. Now,
or whatever tool set you have.
This is something that that I would really enjoy making on my own, as this is definitely, as you said, in my wheelhouse. Would I be able to use an inspiration on this?
If you have an inspiration, then absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then which attribute would you like me to roll? Are the tool?
I will let you make your choice between intelligence, wisdom, or dexterity. Just tell me which one you think is the one that like you rely on. You know, your intelligence and knowing how everything settles, just your instincts as a sailor, or just your ability to like effectively lash things.
In this case, I think because it's going to be a very personal, it'll be a vessel that I'm just piloting myself. I'm going to make it very customized to me and my physical capabilities. So I'll be channeling this through dexterity.
All right. Yeah. You put it together, and it's not necessarily beautiful. I mean, it's a hodgepodge of random candy ingredients, but it looks very functional. Everything's well lashed with licorice. It looks like it's going to be a great tool for you.
Excellent.
And with that, you all have your sleds, and the competition is starting fairly soon. Is there anything you guys want to do as the last minute before it begins?
Rivi quickly just pushes his dog off the sled and harnesses him up like a sled dog. So it actually is functional.
So yeah, you've put your dog in front, where it was very much your dog's intention to put you in front. I like that a lot. Anyone else, or do you guys head up to the top?
I'm gonna try to freeze all of the other sleds so they don't run.
Okay. I mean, there's like a lot of people, and they're mostly gathered at the top of the mountain.
At least
already.
one or two.
But you get a couple, absolutely. Again, you don't have to roll for that. You get a couple of stragglers, the people that aren't among Bartholomew's adventuring troop that would, not contribute to your overall victory. You know, all those little kids. Those kids are done. They don't get to play today.
The dog gives him the death glare.
All right, so Gob Moss will be getting his giant paintbrush, and he'll dip into he'll probably have some pots of paint in front of him, and he'll dip them into the giant paintbrush to one of them, and set it where he can actually use it as a little streamline when he's going down the hill.
Awesome. It's also kind of using that makeshift rudder vibe. I like it.
Yeah.
And good with that, you all carry your miscellaneous creations up to the top of the hill, and again, everyone kind of taking these lifts up to the top of the mountain. They're all pretty ragtag in terms of the sleds. No one has anything near as high quality as when you arrive. You see Susan Snow has a sled. You can tell very clearly that it looks enchanted in some way, and she's kind of resting on it comfortably, and as she kind of turns to address everyone at the top of the hill, as you guys all kind of reach the mountain, behind you, the huge ice castle of the Duke of Winter just kind of looms behind you. Very beautifully constructed thing. And Susan Snow begins kind of addressing you. You're standing up now. The wind is whipping pretty fiercely up here. The musicians of the festival, just kind of a distant song as you're very high up, and looking down this mountain is pretty steep. Susan just kind of looks and goes, "All right, everyone, I just want to say a brief thank you for one thing to the Duke of Winter for so generously allowing us to use his mountain today. He will also be a judge in he'll be a judge in some of our later competitions. So make sure you show your appreciation that he allows us every year to take part in festivities on his property. And without further ado, the race will be beginning in just a moment." And she kind of hops down on her sled, and you see she snaps a couple of pieces off of it, and the sled seems to break off and transform into skis, which she gets ready to kind of launch herself. And over on the side, the race, every racer is kind of starting to get ready, as there are flags that are kind of marking the course going downwards, and you see another kind of slightly smaller snowman kind of walks over and stands up at the main, kind of the left of the major flags, and has what looks like a small, just kind of Popper, and this he's probably only like a foot tall, and he calls out, "All right, everybody, we're going to be starting in just a moment. When I pop this popper, it means go. 3, 2." And at this point, everyone's kind of panicking because there wasn't very much notice. And you see everyone like hopping on their sleds who are just standing there. 1. A couple of people go over the starting line as he says 1, and Susan Snow just looks at those people and just goes, "Disqualified! Disqualified! Both of them!" They hurriedly goes, "Go!" And she takes off immediately. And in this first instance, there's an absolute panic here on the top of the mountain. There's been a lot of odd misdirection and things just kind of going off in timing as everyone struggles to just get started going down the hill. What are your first moves like as you try and make yourselves known amongst the large pack? All said and done, there's maybe 50 people huddled on top of this mountain trying to go down.
Scruffles just starts booking it down the mountain.
All right, Scruffles just takes off. Very quickly, Scruffles finds, in the style of the Grinch, where Max leads the dog down the hill, a couple of steps after running down the hill, the speed of the sled instantly becomes faster, and Scruffles just ends up on it alongside of you, as it's very fast and very steep.
Awesome.
Well, this didn't work out.
What about everybody else?
We take off. Oh, by the way, the guy, whoever's in front, yeah, he's coming closer to me now because do that. So I'm gonna wicked voodoo.
Oh, jeez, what is this? I don't even know what this is.
Lightning lure.
Oh God. Okay, fair enough. Very good. We're gonna resolve all of these things at once. Go ahead. What about Zewxip and Gob? What are you guys doing?
I'm going to cast Gust to give myself a very powerful start.
Oh, it's an attack roll, so it should be.
Oh no, it says it's a strength save on the Wicked Voodoo. And then Gob, what's your play?
Alright, so God Moss is actually going to spend 1 key point to use Step of the Wind. And with that, he's going to start off by jumping, using his back legs to actually force his way downwards. And then when he lands, he's going to use the rest of the action for the dash.
All right. In this, as soon as the kind of gun fires, for perhaps the briefest of moment, and also I forgot to mention this, I would like you all to roll for initiative as well. But of course.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's spicy.
Oh.
2 crits.
Very good. Very good. So. The first to resolve in this case is you, Shogun. So why don't you go ahead and make me an animal handling check?
All right.
Wow, nice.
Scruffles is a very good boy.
Scruffles, for a brief moment, Scruffles looks like he's going to kind of get caught back up to you as the sled's kind of gaining on him, but you just do one kind of pull of, kind of whip of the reins, so to speak. Not a harmful one, but they're just kind of, and Scruffles starts taking off even more and sliding a little bit on his own, but occasionally catching himself in righting directions as he's actually pulling you well ahead of the majority of the pack. Although there are definitely some other individuals that are alongside you. This guy's going to make a strength saving throw. He's not in particularly strong. This is a random dude. What's the DC on that? Oh, DC 13.
Yeah.
Immediately, the individual in front of you, Muldock, you just throw out your kind of line of lightning energy. He's thrown backwards. He doesn't look like he's necessarily dead from the lightning, but you did probably kill him from throwing him down a steep mountain as he kind of rolls just out of the way with a Wilhelm scream, I'm sure. And his sled is just kind of tossed aside. You don't gain a lot of ground from it because you're just you're not you're just hurting someone else, but you manage to get this guy, and you're kind of amongst a lot of the densest part of the pack, perhaps exactly where you want to be. And Zewxip, go ahead and roll me. This is just going to be water vehicles proficiency check. And again, this is just going to be dexterity with proficiency and advantage because of the gust I'm going to give you. 16. All right, yeah. A quick kind of gust of wind, movements that are extremely familiar to you. You kind of whip around and the wind kind of picks up behind you, catches into the cotton candy sails, and you begin flying, so to speak, down the mountain. There's a big chunk of it where, just like riding waves, you're like catching air and kind of bouncing a little bit as you're going ahead, but you come to an early lead right alongside of you're in kind of with the front runners alongside of Rivi at this moment. And I need you to make me Gob in athletics or acrobatics. And again, because you don't have to contest with all the other people jostling because you're a jump, I'm also going to give you advantage on this Gob. But go ahead and make me athletics or acrobatics check for your first kind of start. All right, Gob, you jump up ahead. But you don't expect some of the ferocity of the wind that's kind of whipping and raging around this space. So you end up kind of landing down, and you don't get quite as much distance as you were hoping you would out of this extra jump that you take. You crash down alongside of Muldock, and you're also in kind of the thick where the majority of the pack is. And far up ahead, you can see Susan Snow. Those of you who are not in the thick of it, in particular in this case, that would be Rivi and Zewxip. You can see Susan Snow already a few strips away. Her sled just seems better made than yours, and she looks like she has been studying this course for her whole life, as she expertly like kind of weaves around every kind of mogul and every bump that is in her path, kind of leading her a little bit ahead of you, even though you got such great starts even. And with that, the pack kind of continues onwards, and you start just rolling down the mountain. In these first moments, I think there's probably a flurry of Muldock just trying to take out everyone around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Muldock's just bringing down anyone he can. Any other general strategies that you guys are trying to employ as you're going down? In this first stretch, it's just kind of like open terrain, but up ahead, you can see there's definitely some more kind of blockage in front, as it looks like you're going through a little bit of a candy cane forest soon.
I will also Ray of Frost backwards to kind of propel myself forward.
All right, I like that.
Gob Moss would be taking a few of his throwing nibs, like looking for like anyone nearby that is not part of Bartholomew's adventure, like probably tossing it towards their wherever the would be equivalent to the runners, hoping to break them.
So you're trying to get the ones that aren't members of Bartholomew's. And what's the exact thing that you said you were throwing again?
I am pretty much using my throwing nibs, which are basically darts.
Oh, okay. You're just throwing darts at people, taking the Muldock approach.
I'm throwing it more towards their runners.
Trying to like take out the sleds themselves. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, cool. Anyone else have any kind of like? It seems like I like these more like you have these two kind of more defensive style players, and then we have Zewxip and Rivi who are just out in the front of the pack. Looks like you guys are just going raw speed. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I, Scruffles, shall try to navigate. I mean, bark.
Zewxip?
You said that we're heading into a candy cane
Yeah, you
forest?
can see that up ahead. There's lots of these kind of dense candy cane trees that are sticking up out of the ice cream snow.
Okay, but we're not there yet?
That's going to be the next kind of obstacle that you're encountering. You're going to be there very soon.
All right, then, yeah, I'm going to go for raw speed again, and I'll give another go.
All right, you just kind of press down and moving in. Go ahead and make me one more. Check of the relevant thing, and in your case, so animal handling, water vehicles. I love that both of you are playing so much into your styles on this one, and then kind of more defensive, like making sure that no one catches up. We have Muldock and Gob. Also, make me your attack rolls, respectively.
Which one? Because I got the Joy Buzzer that's just going to pull people, which would be strength saves, or I got the Ray of Frost.
You said the Ray of Frost, I think is what you said.
I said Ray of Frost backwards to propel forwards, but it's okay.
So if you want to do Ray of Frost to propel forwards, you can do that, but you can't, like, attack and boost yourself.
Okay, fine. I guess we're gonna go ahead and attack. Let's do it.
Okay. Very good, and... and where was waiting on one? Oh yeah, Rivi, make me another animal handling check. No problem.
Does the 16 hit? If not, I can.
Oh no, your 16 isn't even just one, because this like sledding, this sledding is happening over like multiple rounds.
Okay.
Is what we're just kind of like summarizing right now, the beginning of the race. So this is you taking out roll damage on that.
Oh, okay. 7.
This is you taking out 7 individuals with Rays of Frost as you're just blasting just everywhere around you, thinning out the herd. And same with Orgobmos, you were going to make some attacks with your darts as well, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, roll damage on that. Yeah, you take out 6 people in the same way. You're really thinning out the herd, and you're going specifically for the non-Bartholomew ones. Is it fair to say that Muldock is going indiscriminate?
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I'm going for everybody.
Yeah.
One more thing. After he throws a dart, he's probably going to use his foot to probably push forward again.
Yeah, you're propelling yourself down as best you can, but you guys are kind of clearing the pack while the front runners here are trying to make sure that they get up ahead of Susan, who's you guys actually find at the front that you are doing a pretty good job of catching up, as Susan at this point is maybe only about 30 or so feet away from you, as she's kind of weaving and ducking back and forth between the trees. You watch as her skis that she was on, as she gets to the trees, she just kind of claps her legs together and the wood seems to combine, and she shifts herself sideways and her skis turn into what looks like a snowboard, as this magic sled seems like it's easier for her to bob and weave with that. And you get now into the candy cane forest. A lot of other kind of racers, as you move into this chunk of the woods, begin ducking out as a few people hit trees, probably pretty devastatingly. But those that haven't been directly killed, they kind of hit the trees. And you hear a lot of "I'm okays" and my legs, but everything's fine. You can tell. But you guys begin kind of ducking and weaving through the forest. I'm not going to have you roll for that.
Oh, I'm not ducking and weaving. I'm cutting all the trees. All the trees. All of them.
Oh, well, that is a much bigger endeavor. These are some old... Yeah, I don't think, just for the sake of reality, these are, full-sized trees. That would be like felling an oak tree with your hatchet on the way by.
Oh...
I mean, you can take a few swings. You might get a couple of the smaller ones, but not like the big ones.
Okay.
So you begin kind of dodging and weaving through, and you see that the ground in front of you, as you're moving through this part of the forest, you can see that it's starting to kind of narrow inwards towards kind of a central area, and up ahead, it looks like you remember passing over this as you were going on your lifts. There's just a big kind of ravine where the cliff drops off, and there is something akin to a bridge. And as you're closing to it, it looks covered over, and Susan is sledding right for it. It's covered over, but there's a bit of a path through it, and you can hear what sounds like the buzzing of blades and saws as you're going through what looks like some kind of candy cane lumber mill. Susan dashes ahead of you. Rivi and Zewxip, who are at the head of the pack other than that, kind of arrive at it first. And as you look into this space, the trees were a little bit tricky to dodge, but you see that inside of here, it is absolute bedlam. Just kind of like automated pieces of equipment and candy canes are being sawed. There are a few workers in the space. There's some decorations in here as it looks like it was intended, but it's also a little bit out of control. There are a few different paths available to you up ahead. You can go straight through, but it looks, if you want to go straight through, which would be the most efficient route, there appears to be in front of you a big kind of candy cane tree that's being carried across it, kind of blocking the path. You could kind of try and curve hard sharp to the left, and there's a little bit of a ramp leading up, which will bring you up to a higher level. It's a little bit less efficient, and then it would leave out a window on the top left, or you could kind of curve yourself to the right, but there's a lot more people there. and it looks like it would curve out to a window on the right, but the kind of path looks a little bit easier than the one on the left. What do you guys do as you enter into this space?
You said there's people on the right. I'm going to search the people.
You're not quite there yet. The ones in the lead are Zewxip and Rivi, but I suspected that would be the case when you got there. So what do you guys do?
Since I'm so small, can I just try to duck under the giant log?
You might be able to, but I don't know if your dog would be able to make it under.
You
can definitely try. You can definitely try.
The wolves are medium beasts.
I'm sorry.
He's a dog, but he's a wolf. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know. But he's bigger than you. But you can try. I'm just saying there's like a good chance that you crash into a tree, but you're absolutely welcome to give it a shot.
Oh, 1 second, be right back. Can you go for them first?
Yeah, Zewxip, what's your play?
The wind is our friend, and we shall sail upon it. I'm going to veer to the left to ramp up and try and sail out of the upper window. However, behind me, because I am in the... I would like to cast that at the point of entry.
Absolutely. You conjure a fog cloud right as you kind of move into the space. Devastating. And you go and sail upwards into the kind of upper deck region. For starters, go ahead and make me... this is just going to be just a check with your... this is just going to be a check with your sea vehicles proficiency. To see if you're able to successfully navigate up this ramp. Yep, no, not even an issue. You curve up the ramp, you see some of the boards are a little bit jostly, like you might get thrown off, and you climb up into the upper level. But you see that Susan kind of goes straight ahead, does a little bit of a leap up over the tree in front of you, and she kind of looks back and sees you kind of curving up as you're the closest one behind her, and she waves her hand in your direction, and you feel a sudden gust of wind like pushing against you. It's not enough to throw you off your course. If anything, the wind helps you. You know, you're used to sailing in wind, but what it does do is close the window that you were planning on jumping through before you, and slam it shut. So you're now just going towards an open wall. Just a wall where the window used to be. What do you do?
Do I have an action available?
You have an action available. We're in a bit of a sloppy initiative right now.
Sure. Okay then. I will. Let me check something real quick. Okay. My pride will probably lead to my destruction, but it's served me well so far. I am going to, if I'm within range, I would like to cast Thorn Whip at the window. If it can shatter the window ahead of me, and in the best case, maybe it'll even help. It'll help me attain more speed if I can pull myself through the shattered, the opened area now.
Absolutely. Go ahead and make an attack roll. Not trivial because you're trying to balance, but man, your rolls are on point. Go ahead and roll damage on that too. 3 piercing damage. All right. You send the Thorn Whip out. The window is a little bit more solid. It's not necessarily like the shutters aren't necessarily just glass. They're more kind of like fragmented wood in places. So you throw the Thorn Whip out in the hope of pushing it, and it pushes it a little bit. But as you get to it, it looks like you're just going to crash into it. It does. The Thorn Whip reduces the damage to a degree, but you are still going to take. That's going to reduce by 3 because of the Thorn Whip, but you're going to take 9 points of miscellaneous physical damage. You don't have any particular, it's bludgeoning and slashing. As, kind of pieces of wood hit you, you crash through it and come out the other side still moving, but you do take a fair chunk of damage there. That is going to be, that's all that she's going to do right now. Rivi, you were trying to go through this house. You were up ahead,
So the window to the left, is the window open or is it closed?
The window, you're moving alongside, the window is open now because Zewxip just crashed through it.
I'm going to follow behind, trying not to cut myself in the glass.
All right. Yeah, it's mostly like splintered wood and stuff. Go ahead and make an animal handling check to see if you're able to make it up the ramp to the left first.
Good boy.
Again, these rolls. Yeah, no problem. You slide up the ramp and then hop up and along and go in front of, you're right alongside Zewxip as you kind of ride in his wake to a little bit of degree and avoid this particular obstacle. The next to come into the house, actually, is going to be Gobmas and Muldock. You guys are in the same kind of... group, but you actually have no visual on what you're going into.
Well, there's a cloud. We can see the cloud ahead of time, right?
Yeah, you can just see as you're getting closer a big cloud in the space.
Well, I blow it away.
How?
Frost. It's
A ray of
wind.
Ray of Frost fires cold. I don't think it creates a gust of wind. Like, there's specific spells that do that. You'd have to have like something like a gust cantrip or a gust of wind spell to like move it out.
Okay, well, I blast it backwards and go into the mist. I don't.
All right, cool. So you fly straight forward into the mist. You go ahead and make me a perception check. And also, what is your play, Gob?
All right, so just no, what are the options? Like, go straight ahead and to the left, or anything to the right?
You can't really actually see anything. Really, you're in a weird spot. Unless you have some way to clear the fog, you don't know what the kind of options available to you were in this first instant.
Oh,
so yeah.
Hold on. Wait. Nope. I'm gonna save face now. I didn't. I had 1, so +1.
Fair enough, but a 5 unfortunately is still not going to get you there. You're probably just going to have to go straight down the middle path as you don't see another option available to you. That's funny. I didn't know about that ability, but that's really cool.
All right, so the question is, how high is the fog cloud at the moment?
It fills up the space. I mean, fog cloud, Maddie, what's the size on... Yeah, 20-foot radius, it fills up the entire door frame.
Okay, so the trees, there are trees in the area, right?
Yeah, before you get to the ravine and the log house, there were trees. And there's trees inside that you can't see.
All right, so since there's some trees before, I'm going to have Godmoss use his froggy jump, probably jump kind of a diagonal upwards onto a tree and then launch himself forward.
So you're just trying to avoid the entire house.
Exactly.
All right, this is going to be... How far can you go with a jump? Or so you're trying to, like, whip yourself off the tree. You're going over a pretty sizable ravine. I'm going to let you try this, but I'll just warn you now. It's possible. If you fail, you fall into a ravine and probably die. Just so you know. But it'll be rad if you do it.
Okay, so as I was saying, like, I could jump up 30 feet. Jump forward 30 feet or up 15 feet. However, I will be using my last point of key.
Step of the wind. Yeah, exactly. You'll need it. Go ahead and make me an athletics or acrobatics check, whatever you want. You're also using the tree to kind of fling you across. And because of the tree, I'm even going to give you advantage on this roll, but it's going to be a very high DC.
Okay, so...
it's going to be a tough one. I wish you the best of luck, Gobmoss. 21! You grab onto the top of the tree. You do a Herculean jump upwards. The candy cane trees don't have a ton of bend, but what flexibility they have, you utilize and whip yourself forward and over the ravine. You begin falling down. You're getting close, and it looks like you're going to come down right at the point where the ledge meets the ground, and you think for a second that you're not going to make it. You're just going to fall down, and you look down at the 150-foot fall beneath you. You look down at that 15d6 facing you in the barrel, and then just a slight gust of wind from behind pushes you the last couple of inches. You crash down the other side, and you have a clear vision of your allies, Rivi and Zewxip, just a tiny bit ahead at this point, and then... that just leaves us with, at this point, Muldock, you're inside of it. You save some face, but it's not enough. You're barreling straight forward. You come through the mist, and you see in front of you just a horizontal bar, a peppermint tree that has been cut and left across the inside of this lumber house.
Okay, we're gonna do the the Matrix.
Oh no! As you go to do the Matrix, you kind of fall backwards and go to like pull your body back. You take 10 points of bludgeoning damage as you go to Matrix under the tree and just smack into it. It was a little bit too low to the ground.
I would take points of damage? No, I don't, because I shield.
The shield spell?
Yeah, shield spell.
That gives you bonus to your armor class, which prevents you from taking hits. But this you're just slamming into a tree, unfortunately.
Oh. It wouldn't be like
not like
thingy that would shut the.
No, unfortunately, there's no getting around that one, Muldock.
Oh, that's a shame. Cause I'm down.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Wizards are pretty
God, you're a level 1 wizard.
Yeah.
Oh God. You watch as Muldock is rolling forward the child sled underneath, and he goes to Matrix back under the tree, and then just the top of your head slams the top of it, and you are instantly knocked unconscious. You managed to Matrix under it the last moment because the force of you're hitting the head in the tree. So now Muldock is just going down the hill unconscious, still on the sled, and he's a tiny bit behind you, Gob. You can see your friend Muldock passed out and just kind of rolling down the hill on the sled. And
is he going like faster like a snowball? Like just gaining more and more snow is going down and down and down?
Oh no, he's riding perfectly on the sled, unconscious.
Oh.
It's terrifying. Muldock is terrifying to the end. That is going to, in that case, bring us to, and we're going to go into a harder initiative now, because it looks like you're getting a lot closer to the end of the run, which means we're going to be starting out with you, Rivi, in this instance, as you see you're about to go into your steepest chunk yet, and then there's a big ramp, and then at the bottom of it, after launching off this huge ramp, it's just a little bit of a straight and narrow, and then the finish line where all the people are kind of gathered and crowded around. Up a little bit ahead of you guys, Zewxip and Rivi, you're in the front of the pack, followed closely by God Moss and the unconscious Muldock. And Susan Snow is just a little bit ahead of you. She kind of turns around on her. Snowboard. It transforms back into a sled, and she's standing at it and just waving at you as she sleds backwards in front of you. What are you gonna do? Rivi?
I'm going for the ramp.
You're inevitably going to crash into the ramp. But it looks like if you want to, when you're gonna need something to kind of put you a little bit on the same speed as right now. If you all go at the same pace, she's just gonna be ahead of you.
Is armed combat allowed?
It was implied. You were told at the beginning. I did not specify, but you were told at the beginning not to like kill people, which Muldock ignored.
Muldock doesn't.
So, you've seen like the degree to which armed combat is allowed, which is like no, but there's nothing they can do about it.
Okay, would it be possible for my my dog to use? Oh, that wouldn't work. Oh. Can I use like the sword as like a paddle?
You're gonna just kind of try and push yourself farther along, make the load a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going full pace and using my sword like I'm trying like a paddle forwards.
All right, make me an athletics check.
Oh, that's not good.
Because that's just strength, I think, pushing down with the paddle.
Not the worst.
I mean, you're keeping forward, but you're not gaining any ground. Anything else on your turn? That's an action.
As an action, no, I guess. Nah, not really. Most of my actions are combat based.
All right, Muldock, you should make me a death save.
Oh man.
As you're bleeding out on the sled.
Oh god.
Show me the nat 20, because that would be the most.
I hope so.
That'd be the most stylish nat 20 death save.
Oh no, one failed.
Muldock is creeping closer to death. That is going to bring us to Zewxip. What do you want to do?
Help me.
After ramping up out of the window, I am on my way to a ramp further down the mountain. Yes.
Yep, it's going into a much steeper kind of like downward, and then there's essentially like in the Olympic skiing. Do you know how you always see like the big skiing long jump?
Yes.
It's set up like that with the finish line at the end of it.
Very good. I would like to do my best to sail into the finish. So all hands on deck. Well, I guess that's just me. And I'm going to double down, build as much speed as possible, hit this ramp. So I'm going to gust again and try and surge forward, getting as much speed and momentum as I can.
All right, go ahead and make me another check with advantage with your second gust here. And gust is an area of effect, correct?
One moment.
Or this is the gust cantrip, not gust of wind.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in that case, no. It's just this would only affect you. It wouldn't be for everyone. Go ahead and make me a that same check with advantage for your water vehicles.
Do you want a second one, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was scrolling. I didn't see it. My bad. 15. Yeah. All right. So you, with this gust of wind behind you, it picks up into the cotton candy scales. What does it look like as you're kind of like carving down the slope? Or is it like side to side, or?
Well, so I have this kind of catamaran like this, or this like wind sailing sled. And so the cotton candy is flapping majestically as the cold wind is blowing through my snapdragon. Sort of, they would almost look like dreadlocks if you've seen what snapdragons look like. And I'm bellowing out with the smoky voice that Zewxip has here.
Yes.
Yes, ride the winds, ride the winds.
And with that, as the wind's kind of pushing you and guiding you along, you move along and catch up to. You are right now neck and neck with Susan Snow as you guys are coming into the finish line, and both of you are about to go off this jump, which will be the final moment.
I will wave to her, but I already cast a spell, but I will wave back to her.
Yeah, you're up next. She was kind of like waving at you and then sees the wind like just force you towards her, and she stops waving and puts the hand by the side. As you're next to her, she looks over at you and just goes, "Oh no, this won't do at all, not at all." And that's going to bring us next in initiative to, I believe it is Gob Moss next.
Alright, so I've already landed on the ramp and like going downwards, right?
Yep, this is like the build up before the big jump.
Alright, am I currently behind anyone? Or like within
in terms of the ranking order, you're a little bit behind Rivi, who's a little bit behind Zewxip, who's neck and neck with Susan Snow, and behind you a little bit is the unconscious Muldock. Also, now that you're on this section, this part of the course is like cultivated snow, and in this perfectly flat snow, you're noticing that you're starting to build up a little bit of speed from the oil from your painting canvas. Like, it's a little bit better kind of designed for like the perfect track.
Alright, so my question is, can I get a slipstream off Rivi?
Yeah, go ahead and make me, make me a acrobatics or athletics, whichever you prefer, to try and, actually no, I think hitting a slipstream would absolutely be acrobatics, and I'm going to give you advantage because, like I said, your sled is working a little bit better in this environment.
Alright, can I combine that with, by just make all that together with a dash action?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that you're dashing at top speed. Like, you don't have a lot of like movement options in terms of what you're doing. You're going down the hill on the sled, so movement action has just been kind of reserved for, it's assumed that you're always going at the maximum pace that you can.
Alright, so yeah, I'm pretty much heading down at 80 feet considering the monk, so, but yeah, acrobatics.
Oh, you're going, trust me, you're going way faster than that at this point on these sleds. All right, yeah, acrobatics. You catch up to Rivi and even move past Rivi. You're not able to get quite up to where Zewxip is. At this point, you're only about like 10 feet back of the two leaders, which are Susan Snow and Zewxip, as you're moving in, which is going to bring us to Susan Snow's turn, who looks to you, Zewxip, who's riding neck and neck. She kind of like shifts her legs a little bit on the sled to move over next to you, and she just kind of goes to like bump and crash into you a little bit on the left. This is going to be a contested strength roll. Her strength is not in particularly strong, but she's trying to. Yeah, you can make, she's using her athletics on you. She has a +1. Oh, 14! She's using essentially a shove action on you right now. Actually, could you contest a shove with dexterity? Can you contest a shove with acrobatics?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. In that case, I'll let you make an acrobatics check if you want. That is my mistake.
It would be the same.
Oh, okay.
I'd have a 2 athletics or 2 acrobatics. So I'd be re-rolling to get another number on the die. So that's
okay. Yeah. In that case, we'll thank you for the hey, thank you for the honesty. In that case, we'll call it a 7. And yeah, she bumps into you, and you kind of like tumble a little bit to the side. I want you to make me a dexterity saving throw. Dexterity saving. The ship kind of like moves a little bit to the side, and as you're hitting the bottom of the ramp, you're going to be you lose a little bit of ground. You're back into the pack. You fall where at this point Gob is, and even maybe a little bit farther behind. And you're also out of control a little bit as you're coming into this jump. You're in a rough spot, and Susan Stowe once again has complete control of the lead. That is going to then bring us to the top of the initiative, which is Rivi. You got a little bit of a gap between you and the leaders here, and I'm sorry. All of you hit the jump at this point. You are now rocketing through the air, up in the sky. Like there's some like birds that are flying at your height, but you go high enough that you're crashing into some of these birds. They appear to be made of like odd conglomerations of candy, and like they look almost like Swedish birds instead of Swedish fish that are kind of flapping, and they're kind of like squawking as you're passing through them. Rivi, this is your last opportunity to try and overtake Susan, who's in first place before the end here.
So I, Scruffles, the goodest boy, will let go of the sled. I mean, bark.
Scruffles lets go of the sled.
So my plan here, tell me if this works now, that Scruffles is going to let go of the sled. And since it's going to be lighter now, Rivi's going to fly faster and farther because he's really light. Does that make sense, or I'm just an idiot there?
We'll give it to you. But I'll say this: you're going to need. So you're just going for raw aerodynamics as you're going into the finish, just to try and overtake with pure speed. All right. Go ahead and make me that. This is, I think, since once again. The pup is the one that's launching you forward with kind of the let go, and that's the strategy there. I think this is still animal handling, so make me that animal handling check.
Oh, 14. Good boy.
Nice.
Good enough.
All right, so yeah, you rocket off and you propel yourself forward. You weren't too far back from Susan, so in this moment in midair, you are now neck and neck with Susan as you're flying through in this final moment of the race. Which is going to, I believe, bring us to Muldock. You hit the jump. You're still unconscious.
No, still unconscious.
All right. Very good. In that case, that's going to bring us to Zewxip. You hit the jump at an odd angle, and you're almost sideways with your ship. You're not getting a lot of momentum going in. Anything you try and, what do you want to try and do to salvage it?
Is the jump to the end, or is the jump and then there's an end run?
The jump is pretty much to the end. It's like there's a little bit of a run afterwards, like a small chunk, but this is probably the last round of initiative in mechanical terms.
Would you allow for a spell like Burning Hands to provide some jet fuel to my launch?
We've been doing the same thing with Ray of Frost, so I think it's fair to also do it with Burning Hands.
Sure. This is the last ditch effort. I'm hitting this ramp, and I want to be a streak across the sky. I'm going to hit my turbo boosters. I've been saving it this whole time, and I'm going to launch a Burning Hands to try and power myself over the finish line.
Okay. So since you're burning your last spell slot, I would have given you disadvantage for coming off at a weird angle, but I would have given you advantage for like the Burning Hands jet fuel. So I'm going to negate that to a flat roll. This is just one last check with your Oh man! You rocket through, and a burning streak across the sky indeed. In contrast, almost to your nature, the burning flower flies up, and it's now 3 of you coming down right to the wire here at the end. Gobmas.
Alright, so Gobmas is he sees this jump coming up, so his plan is as usual, well, not as usual, but he's gonna take his giant paintbrush, dip it into dip a bit into the actual handle tip into the more oily part of it, of one of the pots, and and then when the jump comes up, he is going to go up and hopefully coat the paintbrush all the way down with his hand, and and if his sled breaks, he'll be using the giant paintbrush as like a little semi-snowball.
All right. I'm okay. I think I understand what you're going here for. So yeah, I think the sled absolutely breaks here at this last moment, and you are now kind of doing a very cool snowboard trick, riding on your paintbrush as you come down to the last instant. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics check with advantage. Oh my God, you guys are monsters. The 4 of you are neck and neck as you're coming now down to this last instant, and it's now Susan Snow's turn, who, as you're flying through the air, you all are just about to crash down to the ground, your heads all looking forward at about the same pace. She just kind of whips around, and you see the wind kind of pick around her. I would like all of you to make me strength saving throws.
Why strength? Why me?
Well, except for me, because I'm not there.
Yeah, well, you're a little bit behind, so you're good.
Ooh. Ooh.
Rivi, the wind throws off around you, and your hands just get thrown from your sled that you're still on. You get thrown backwards. You're knocked out of the race, and she crashes down.
You even go, fuck you, bitch, and he just gets flung off.
Not knocked out of the race, like you'll still finish, but you're knocked out of the chance to win. As you all crash down at the same time, the rest of you still neck and neck. It's a photo finish. Each of you get one more opportunity to try and overtake Susan Snow as you're all ending at almost exactly the same time. Those of you who are still in the lead, which is Gob Moss and Zewxip. What do you want to do?
Okay, so Gob Moss is since we're still going like full speed, Gob Moss will try to get as much speed as he can by using his froggy jump, but like using it as more of a propellant.
Long froggy jump, basically.
You're just trying to push off. You're not even on this. You're just like abandoning the sled and rocketing off of your paintbrush forward. I love it, Zewxip.
All right, I have another slot I can use Burning Hand. I'm not aiming for the snowman homunculus, but I would like to both get the boost off of it, as well as perhaps spook this this snowman who's racing to maybe make a mistake or hold up in the midst of this flamethrower here. I can roll a deception or something else along those lines if you'd like, but I want to try and turbo boost over the line with another Burning Hands.
I'm trying to think, because it's a lot to do in one effect, but I think because it's her natural weakness, I'm going to give you a shot. Why don't you make me an intimidation check, and you're not going to get the advantage that you would normally get from the Burning Hand since you're using it to a slightly different effect, but go ahead and make me an intimidation check, and also I'll let you make the land vehicles check. Oh yeah, pretty good. And also pretty good. Gob Moss, also make me that acrobatics check. She's gonna have disadvantage on her own. I mean, crit 25, Jesus. Because you had advantage from your move, from your big jump move. And last but not least, she's gonna get a shot at this. And she's very good at snowboarding. She has a +8 to this roll. A 16 plus 8 puts her at 24, which is not enough to beat Gob Moss. I'm sorry, it was a 14 plus 8 because she was at disadvantage, not advantage. So in this last instant, the flames whip out. You watch as Susan Snow kind of looks over at you, Zewxip, and just, oh no, oh, well, keep that a little bit of a distance, please. And she kind of curls backwards, and just her body like rolling backwards, and Gob Moss pushing forwards. The first to cross over the finish line in this moment is Gob Moss, who dashes forward with a frog-like tumble and lands in the arena to glorious and thunderous applause. I do want you, Muldock, to make me a death saving throw to see if you so if you make one success here, you will survive as someone will come over and save you.
Yes!
Hey! And with that, you are all victorious in this adventure. You cross over. You see Susan Snow kind of like goes off in a little bit of a huff, throws the sled aside, and Bartholomew, who's kind of in the crowds, just kind of looks out and just goes, "Ha! Take that, Snow! Yes, that's what the Bartholomew's adventuring troopers came. I apologize, I've grown a little bit rowdy there. You've all done a wonderful job." The applause and cheers continue around the space, and Bartholomew, if you could all come over here for just a brief moment, there will be, I believe, a crowning ceremony and all, and so on and so forth, but I wanted to give you all this. And he hands each of you a surreptitious envelope with 100 Bartholomew bucks in exchange for embarrassing his friend in the sledding competition, who looks at this point furious. She's still wearing her Bartholomew's rainbow-colored robes, and that seems to look elsewhere in the event, but you all, you stand on the podium. Gob Moss, coming in at second place in this instance, is Zewxip, and then Susan Snow standing a distant, a sad third on the winner's podium. Congratulations, you've earned 100 Bartholomew bucks and gained 1 experience point, and that is it for this first adventure tonight.
Awesome.
Rivi is very mad in the background about getting first place. He's uncharacteristically mad about being fourth place right now. He's frothing mad.
Good question. Who saved me?
His dog drags back Muldock from the slopes.